Wufeng, do not be angered. Ming Dao has harmed no one, so there's no violation of the rules. The immortal emperor who stood outside that heavenly venerable cultivator's body gave a slight smile. Yet, in his expression was an authority that brooked no dispute, and he didn't so much as glance at Wong Lin standing beyond the teleportation array below. No violation? If Wong Lin hadn't stepped out of the array just now, that strike would have damaged his divine sense mid-transit. Such an act not only violates the rules of the heavenly venerable ascension, it is utterly shameless. Great heavenly venerable Wufeng swept his sleeve with force, his eyes blazing, refusing to yield in the slightest. Wufeng, your words go too far. Has the boy suffered any injury now? The immortal emperor smiled faintly and spoke slowly. Wufeng stared at him coldly, offering no reply. Since he is unscathed, there was no real attack. Wufeng, I know you value this one and wish to draw him under your banner. I will not compete with you for that. Yet this kind of cultivator. The immortal emperor lowered his gaze and looked once at Wong Lin. Is nothing but a chicken rib, hardly worth the effort. The only reason he passed the 13th layer is because he wears soul armor. Without it, he could scarcely even hope to reach the rank of transcendent heavenly venerable. The immortal emperor's voice was calm, but its weight was immense. He was not only the immortal emperor, but also the 8 extremities heavenly venerable. His words outweighed those of all transcendent heavenly venerables combined. And the moment they left his lips, a storm erupted across the heavenly venerable nirvana grounds. The fact that Wong Lin possessed soul armor was something almost none of the heavenly venerables here, and not a single transcendent heavenly venerable, had known. All believed he had broken through to the 13th layer by his own strength. But now, after hearing the immortal emperor's declaration, an uproar exploded like thunder. He has soul armor. How shameless. So that's how? I wondered how he could possibly leap from the 5th layer to the 13th. With soul armor, even I could do the same. No wonder he advanced so quickly through each level. In truth, his cultivation is no more than the 5th layer. The armor carried him this far. He may have deceived us, but he cannot deceive a grand heavenly venerable. Nearly tricked me as well. Wong Lin, you are the height of shamelessness. What transcendent heavenly venerable? Without that armor, you are no more than a common heavenly supreme. I could crush you with a single breath. I doubt he even holds true heavenly venerable strength. His being here rests solely on that armor's power. Look at his cultivation, it's only mid-void tribulation stage. He hasn't even reached golden venerable. I once thought he was concealing his strength, but clearly he's nothing more than a minor void tribulation cultivator. No wonder only Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable and Great Heavenly Venerable Wufeng appeared. Great Heavenly Venerable Jyoti never came. He must have already seen through this one's deceit and deemed him unworthy of recruitment. What genius! He's nothing but a fraud, deceiving the world. Had I known earlier, I'd never have bothered to witness this farce. The Heavenly Venerable cultivators seethed with anger, though much of it was jealousy. Jealousy that had been buried under the weight of a vast disparity now erupted the moment they realized it was all a lie. The transcendent heavenly venerables looked at Wong Lin with complicated expressions. So, he wore soul armor. Even so, to break through 13 layers with it still takes some skill. Alas, who would have thought it was this? He was celebrated as one of the 3 great powers among the transcendent heavenly venerables, yet the immortal emperor exposed him so mercilessly. Perhaps he bears some grudge with the emperor. Something doesn't add up. If it were so simple, Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable and Wufeng would not have come to watch. The hum of debate swelled, reaching Wong Lin's ears. He stood there silently, his face pale. He was the center of all eyes once more, but the difference from before was like heaven and earth. This was the immortal emperor's true intent. He would not allow Wong Lin to so easily gain renown. At this critical moment, he revealed the truth, listening with faint amusement to the murmurs around them. So, you only broke through to the 13th layer because of soul armor. No wonder you fled so quickly and didn't attempt the 14th. The armor's time must have run out, leaving you unable to maintain the pretense. That's why you hurried away. The Nether Dao Venerable sneered, casting Wong Lin a single glance before flicking his sleeve. Begone. You are not worth another look. What a disappointment. Faced with the disdain of all present, Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable parted his lips, as if to speak. But in the end, he sighed inwardly. He understood. From this day forward, the name Wong Lin would be infamous throughout the Immortal clan. The Immortal Emperor revealed this at such a moment. Surely he has some entanglement with the boy. And now, with his reputation ruined, best not to consider him any further. Though he seemed different from the rest, now he is finished. Dao Yi sighed softly, said nothing more, and abandoned any thought of recruiting Wong Lin. Just then, a furious female voice suddenly erupted from the crowd, filled with all of her cultivation. It resounded through the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds. Silence. You don't know anything. Decades ago, before Wong Lin ever donned the soul armor, he was already able to fight me. How could he be as weak as you claim? Even with the soul armor, so what? That only proves he earned the recognition of the extraterrestrial spirit, which granted him power. That too is his own cultivation. 13 layers. He has the strength to break through 13 layers. And you mockers, who among you dare step forward and battle him? If jealousy drives you, then why don't you also try to obtain soul armor? See for yourselves how hard it is to gain its recognition, how it compares to the heavenly venerable ascension. This voice came from Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable, whose reputation in the Immortal clan was immense. That fame was tied both to his own cultivation and to his master, Heavenly Venerable Jyoti. The moment his words spread, silence fell. Wong Lin remained quiet, standing alone outside the teleportation array, face pale. Under countless doubtful gazes, he slowly lifted his head and looked at the enraged Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable in the distance. Young Ocean Child, do not speak recklessly. Be you Heavenly Venerables or Transcendent Heavenly Venerables, the key lies in cultivating oneself. Relying on external power always has its limits. Wong Lin's limit is the 13th layer. Beyond that, for hundreds, even thousands of years, he may not take another step. What use is reaching such a level only temporarily? The Immortal Emperor shook his head and spoke slowly. This truth all cultivators must remember. Do not let external objects delay your own path. Wong Lin is the example. Take heed. External power? The title of Grand Heavenly Venerable is also external power, passed down from the primordial divine realm. If your words hold true, then tell me, which of us has not relied on such power? After remaining silent for a long time, Great Heavenly Venerable Wufeng suddenly spoke. Even you, Immortal Emperor, Ba Ji, Grand Heavenly Venerable, I recall you were but a Heavenly Venerable in cultivation. Were it not for your bloodline inheriting the legacy of the immortal progenitor, could your lineage have endlessly borne the Ba Ji title? External power is still power. As long as it can shatter all obstacles, who dare speak against it? Wufeng's eyes were cold as he stared at the Immortal Emperor, speaking again. You belittle him as useless, yet do you not realize? In the eyes of the immortal progenitor, you, his descendant, may well be useless yourself. His words were harsh and unyielding. The Immortal Emperor's gaze grew cold as he looked at Wufeng. The title of Grand Heavenly Venerable cannot be compared to soul armor, Wufeng. That you value such a person still surprises me. With soul armor, Wong Lin's limit is 13 layers. But if he were to obtain the title of Grand Heavenly Venerable, the 19th layer could be broken with ease. Do you think the two are the same? Not to mention the 19th layer. If he can even break through the 15th layer now, I, Lian Daozhan, will personally grant him a decree in the name of the Immortal Clan, declaring to the world that beneath our Grand Heavenly Venerables, he stands as the first. But can he? Wufeng fell silent. The Immortal Emperor smiled faintly, seemingly unconcerned with Wufeng's earlier words. He turned, his fading figure beginning to dissipate. Ming Dao, return to the palace. This is finished. Dao Yi sighed and turned to leave the Heavenly Venerable Nirvana grounds. Many Heavenly Venerable cultivators and Transcendent Heavenly Venerables also had thoughts of leaving. The spectacle was over. Nether Dao Venerable cast a cold glance at Wong Lin, who had remained silent from beginning to end. With a mocking laugh, he too was about to depart. But at that moment, Wong Lin suddenly let out a long sigh. He lifted his head, eyes fixed on the fading Immortal Emperor. The 15th layer, Immortal Emperor? Then watch closely. Wong Lin's expression remained calm, but within his body, a storm of power was surging, gathering madly. In the next instant, It exploded outward. His figure turned into a streak of rainbow light, shooting straight into the sky. His sudden action froze Dao Yi in his tracks. The immortal emperor's brows furrowed, his fading body solidifying once again as his gaze followed Wong Lin. Wu Feng's eyes lit up as he raised his head to watch Wong Lin soar like a dragon into the heavens. Not only them. Everyone within the heavenly venerable nirvana grounds lifted their heads, focus locked on Wong Lin's figure. What is he doing? Could it be he's really going to continue? His soul armor has already reached its limit. How can he possibly go further? Nether Dao Venerable stared, and an uneasy feeling suddenly seized his heart, a sense of looming disaster. Meanwhile, outside the heavenly venerable nirvana grounds, atop the Dishan Empire, heavenly venerable Judy abruptly stood, eyes fixed unblinking on Autumn Leaf before him. He had witnessed everything, and though he had agreed with much of the immortal emperor's reasoning, upon seeing Wong Lin's action now, a rare shock flickered in his eyes. This child, what gives him the right to challenge it? And then there was the Eastern Continent Purple Sun sect. At this moment, the middle-aged cultivator beside the twin grand heavenly venerables had finished playing around and returned here. They saw the scene where Wong Lin had been scorned by thousands, and their anger surged. As they saw Wong Lin's figure shoot into the sky, heading straight for the heavens, deep expectations immediately formed in their hearts. Wong Lin. Behind the twin grand heavenly venerables, the tormented greedy wolf stared blankly at the mirror, his mind a complete blank. This intense fury confirmed his previous guess. The trip to the imperial city would be incredibly dangerous. Thus, the immortal emperor sought to strike at Wong Lin's momentum, making sure no grand heavenly venerables would seek him out. Even if someone did, they wouldn't treat him the same as they did when he broke through the 13th layer. Such a method was the most direct, but also incredibly effective. From his peak, Wong Lin had fallen to the lowest depths. From the most dazzling heights to the ridicule of thousands, this stark contrast could be ignored by Wong Lin. After all, he wasn't the type to care about such things. But in doing so, his once stunning rise had become a farce. Not only did it fail to have the intended effect, but it also caused him to become notorious across the immortal clan continent. This kind of outcome, he would never allow. Even if it was the immortal emperor, he would fight him. 15th layer, fine. Since you all believe the 13th layer is my limit, then today, I'll be completely arrogant. I'll erupt in full force. Immortal Emperor, how despicable you are. It's clear there is shame in your bloodline. No wonder those sealed by Donglin sect would have lingering grudges after death. No wonder they spoke of the Lian Yunju, those vile words. A cold gleam flashed in Wong Lin's eyes. His speed was so fast that in an instant, he reached the 13th layer and, with a single flash, shot toward the 14th layer. The moment Wong Lin was about to step into the 14th layer, he suddenly halted and looked down. Immortal Emperor, open your eyes wide and watch carefully. Preposterous. The Nether Dao Venerable beside the Immortal Emperor immediately shouted. However, the Immortal Emperor's expression remained unchanged, and he even gave a faint smile. I am watching to see if you can break through the 15th layer. But his pupils subtly contracted, almost imperceptibly. Wong Lin sneered. Since the veil had been torn, he had no more reservations. The more this spread, the safer he would be within the imperial city. With a single step, he boldly entered the 14th layer. The soul armor's time is running out. Since I chose to make a stunning entrance, this time, I will use the immortal astral law's clone technique. A clone, guided by the soul, merging with the body. Wong Lin's figure vanished within the 14th layer's hall. After Wong Lin entered the 14th layer, there was complete silence among the cultivators below. This rapid change was just as shocking as when they learned that Wong Lin had only passed the 13th layer by wearing the soul armor. 14th layer. Among the current Leap Heavenly Venerables, only the Nether Dao Venerable and Venerable Kai Wei have broken through. This Wong Lin is nothing but a fraud. He can't possibly break through. He's probably so enraged that he's willing to risk everything to break through. Interesting, the events happening in the celestial venerable nirvana are twisting and turning like a labyrinth. Many things have changed. I wonder what the final twist will be. No need to think about it. This person won't make it. His soul armor's time is up. How can he possibly break through? The heavenly venerable cultivators coldly looked at the sky. Each one felt indifferent and even disdainful toward Wong Lin. As for the dozen or so leap heavenly venerables, they too looked up at the sky. Thoughts crossed their minds, but most of them were certain Wong Lin would fail, seeing his actions as those of a cornered beast, desperately lashing out. Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable frowned as he gazed at the sky. He didn't believe Wong Lin could break through the 14th layer. His will is weak. Just a few words from the Immortal Emperor have him desperate. He will never make it. He's forcing his way through, and this child is not worth recruiting. The Nether Dao Venerable sneered continuously, his expression always the same, but his eyes held a trace of unease. He didn't know why, but he had an ominous feeling. The Immortal Emperor beside him remained silent, his expression calm, yet in his heart, there was some hesitation. From what I know of him, if he weren't sure, he wouldn't be acting like this, but without the soul armor, it's hard to break through the 14th layer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen to leave earlier. He's just setting himself up for humiliation. But just as this thought crossed the Immortal Emperor's mind, a mere 9 breaths later, a blinding golden light suddenly erupted from the 14th layer in the sky. This golden light exploded from within the 14th layer, piercing through the clouds and enveloping the surroundings. The golden light was blinding, striking the eyes of all the cultivators below, and it even pierced into their minds. 9 breaths. Impossible. He took so long in the 13th layer. How could he possibly pass the more difficult 14th layer in just 9 breaths? Impossible. Impossible. He actually broke through. But his soul armor is no longer usable. He's only at the 5th layer cultivation. How could he? Does he have another soul armor? Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable was momentarily stunned. His body swayed, and he suddenly rushed toward the celestial canopy, closely observing the radiant light of the 14th layer. He actually broke through the 14th layer. Nether Dao Venerable's eyes burned with killing intent as he stared fixedly at the sky. It's nothing. It's just the 14th layer. The Immortal Emperor glanced at the celestial canopy. His pupils contracted once again and slowly closed his eyes. On the celestial canopy, outside the 14th layer's palace, Wong Lin's figure flickered. He didn't pause for a second. Without a moment's rest, he shot straight toward the 15th layer. As his figure entered the golden light and reached the 15th layer's grand hall, the crowd below erupted into a frenzy of buzzing. After breaking through the 14th layer in just 9 breaths, he's now attempting the 15th layer. Did we misjudge him earlier? Even with soul armor, reaching the 15th layer is still astonishing. Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable stared at the celestial canopy, his previous thoughts of giving up suddenly resurging. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. As Wong Lin stepped into the 15th layer on his 9th breath, the 15th layer erupted with dazzling golden light once again. The golden light pierced through the clouds, rapidly spreading in all directions. It appeared like a massive slap, crashing down on the Immortal Emperor's face, causing him to abruptly open his eyes in rare shock. Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable inhaled sharply, his eyes gleaming with intense focus. This child, we were all wrong about him. He possesses even more terrifying potential than Nether Dao Venerable. Even soul armor is just part of his power. At the very least, if it were anyone else, even with the same soul armor, who would dare claim they could break through the 15th layer? Wu Feng Grand Heavenly Venerable appeared calm, but a smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. His eyes betrayed admiration. The reason he had been willing to confront the Immortal Emperor earlier was a gamble. If it paid off, Wong Lin would remember this. And even if he didn't follow him immediately, one day, when he became a Grand Heavenly Venerable, it would still be a fortunate connection. 15th layer. He's made it through the 15th layer. Nether Dao Venerable's eyes glowed with murderous intent. His pride couldn't accept such an occurrence. His body suddenly flickered, and he dashed toward the celestial canopy. This scene was witnessed by everyone, and the cultivators gasped in shock. It's still 9 breaths per layer. This Wong Lin is far beyond what we thought. This person possesses great cultivation. He's not someone we can fathom. He clearly hid his strength before, not wanting to stand out. If not for the Immortal Emperor's pressure, he probably wouldn't have attempted it. Indeed, the Immortal Emperor must have some hidden secrets with him, which is why he used such words to belittle him earlier. The same thoughts spread among the Leap heavenly venerable cultivators. They no longer looked down on Wong Lin. All that remained was a complex mix of admiration. No matter the method, breaking through the 15th layer proves his strength. Heavenly Ox, heavenly venerable, among the crowd, smiled at this scene. Looking at the celestial canopy, though she knew the gap between her and him was growing ever wider, with her now having to gaze up at the sky from among the crowd, she was still pleased. Nether Dao Venerable's figure streaked toward the celestial canopy, bringing the uproar to new heights. His figure howled as he sped straight toward the celestial canopy. Almost the instant Wong Lin exited the 15th layer and flew toward the 16th layer, the two of them took a step in unison, both stepping into the 16th layer's grand hall. The heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds did not restrict entry to just one person at a time. Thus, the two entered simultaneously, but they would not meet. Each was destined to face their own trial. The 16th layer's grand hall, for countless years, had never emitted golden light. Unlike the 15th layer below, which had once released golden light. Nether Dao Venerable and Wong Lin are both attempting the 16th layer at the same time. Who will succeed? Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable's gaze sharpened, a flicker of anticipation in his heart. After all, one had been famous for many years, while the other had only recently made an extraordinary rise. Their simultaneous challenge of the 16th layer was a major event for the entire Immortal clan. Wu Feng's expression became serious. The heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds became increasingly difficult with each layer. The 16th layer had once been attempted twice by Nether Dao Venerable, but both attempts ended in failure. The Immortal Emperor, far away, looked extremely grim. With his status, the words he had just spoken had been forcefully shattered, as if he had been slapped in the face. A chilling coldness began to flicker in his eyes as he stared at the sky. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, 9 breaths had passed. The moment the 9th breath began, the 16th layer's grand hall, which had never emitted light for countless years, suddenly erupted with blinding golden light. Golden light, this is the 16th layer. The 16th layer has actually been broken through. No one among the Leap Heavenly Venerables has ever broken through the 16th layer before. Who was it? Which one of them broke through? 9 breaths. It must be Wong Lin. Not necessarily. Nether Dao Venerable has been famous for many years. If he wasn't confident, would he have dared to attempt it? I think this time, it's Nether Dao Venerable. Dao E, Wu Feng, and the Immortal Emperor all fixed their gazes on the celestial canopy. They, too, wanted to know who had succeeded. Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable stared nervously at the celestial canopy, but soon her eyes lit up with delight. From beyond the 16th hall, Wong Lin's figure stepped out. His face was slightly pale. He did not immediately proceed to the 17th layer. Instead, he stood there, gazing at the grand hall, as though waiting for the Nether Dao Venerable. At this sight, Dao Yi's eyes flew wide open. Great Heavenly Venerable Wu Feng was visibly shaken, and even the Immortal Emperor's expression wavered, betraying disbelief. Not just them. Even the Great Heavenly Venerable Judy of the Dishan Empire drew in a sharp breath. With his actions, Wong Lin overturned every disadvantage he had faced before. It was as if heaven and earth themselves had been reversed. All doubts, all criticisms, scattered like clouds before a gale, leaving nothing behind. The Immortal Emperor had spoken of the soul armor, of how borrowed strength could never be flawless. Wong Lin answered not with words, but with deeds, proving that the 14th layer was far from his limit. Though accused and questioned by all, Wong Lin never once offered a single excuse. Instead, he surged forward, breaking through the 14th layer, the 15th, and now, driving onward. He shattered the barrier of the 16th layer, a feat no one had achieved in countless years. This single act carried more weight, more thunder, than 10,000 words of defense. The entire heavenly venerable ascension grounds fell into deathly silence. Facing the countless gazes below, Wong Lin stood calm and unshaken. Eyes closed, bathed in golden light, he seemed to be breathing, waiting for the Nether Dao Venerable. On him, this moment became an aura of mastery, a presence that inspired respect in every cultivator who looked upon him. Time passed, breath by breath. An incense stick burned away, yet still Wong Lin stood alone before the 16th layer, the Nether Dao Venerable nowhere to be seen. At last, half an incense later, the 16th layer, already drenched in golden brilliance, flared again. From within that radiance came the booming laughter of the Nether Dao Venerable. His laughter overflowed with excitement. After years of silence, he too had broken through the 16th layer. His body shifted, and he emerged before Wong Lin, clad in black. The 16th layer. Today, I, the Nether Dao Venerable, have broken through the 16th layer. Among all transcendent heavenly venerables of the immortal clan, who dares compare with me? And I should thank you, you trickster cultivator, if not for. His words faltered. The silence around him was unnatural. No cheers, no cries of awe greeted his achievement. Instead, all gazes were fixed upon him with complex, wordless stares. You were too slow, Wong Lin said quietly. You broke through the 16th layer. The Nether Dao Venerable's face drained of color. He glared at Wong Lin, killing intent blazing in his eyes. He could not allow anyone to surpass him. Grand heavenly venerables were one thing, but among transcendent heavenly venerables, he had to be first. And yet, the glory and acclaim he should have received were stolen before his eyes. Worse still, Wong Lin had done it faster. The humiliation twisted his pride into rage. His solitary arrogance could not endure such a blow. Shall we continue? Wong Lin's tone remained calm, his gaze steady upon the changing expression of the Nether Dao Venerable. The more indifferent Wong Lin appeared, the harder it became for the Nether Dao Venerable to bear. His eyes seemed ready to spit fire. This man's nature is twisted. I wonder how he even cultivated to this realm. Perhaps it is tied to his path of solitary pride. The more he is pressed, the deeper the torment, and from that pain he draws strength. Like a bow, the more it bends, the greater the power when released. But even the strongest bow breaks when bent past its limit. Wong Lin looked coldly at the Nether Dao Venerable. He had not forgotten the humiliation this man once dealt him. Wong Lin was a man who always repaid grievances, without exception. And now, destroying the Nether Dao Venerable would also serve as a sharp rebuttal to the Immortal Emperor's earlier words. To ruin him, Wong Lin had to crush his confidence completely, drag him into the 17th layer, trample his pride again, and shatter his heart beyond repair, burying him forever beneath his shadow. A bow may grow stronger the more it bends, but past its limit, it breaks. Wong Lin's resolve was ruthless, venomous. He would seize this chance to destroy the Nether Dao Venerable's will. If the mask is already torn, then let it be torn wider. A cold sneer rose in Wong Lin's heart. His eyes filled with contempt as he swept his gaze over the Nether Dao Venerable. That single look made the Nether Dao Venerable's fists clench tight. Nether Dao, return with me to the Imperial City. At that moment, the Immortal Emperor's voice rang out. His expression was no longer dark, but calm. And in his eyes, as they turned upon Wong Lin, there was a trace of admiration. Very well. Today, among my immortal clan, a new powerhouse has emerged, Wong Lin. This emperor once misunderstood you, but once we return to the Imperial City, I shall immediately issue a decree and announce it to the world. And, back then, you and I made an agreement. I invited you to the Imperial City. Now, after so many years, with you becoming a transcendent heavenly venerable, it is fitting to combine the two matters. Whenever a new transcendent heavenly venerable appears within my immortal clan, the royal family must confer a title. This is a grand ceremony. You will come to the royal family, and I will personally officiate it for you. The immortal emperor smiled faintly, showing not the slightest trace of anger. His smile was like a spring breeze, softening the hearts of the cultivators around him. One by one, they lowered their heads, clasped their fists, and bowed. Thank you, immortal emperor, Wong Lin said calmly. It is nothing. Ming Dao, why haven't you left yet? The immortal emperor's smile lingered as he suddenly turned his gaze toward the struggling Nether Dao Venerable in the sky. His low shout boomed like thunder in the man's mind, shaking his spirit. The Nether Dao Venerable's fury vanished instantly, replaced by calm. He stood motionless, staring at Wong Lin. In that moment, not a trace of rage could be seen on him. He cast a long, deep look at Wong Lin. Then his body flickered, and he flew downward. Wong Lin frowned. The Nether Dao Venerable had forced down all his wrath, even suppressing his unbearable pride. If allowed to return, with his unique Dao, he might very well achieve a breakthrough. Wong Lin could dismiss the man's blazing rage, but this sudden silence and eerie calmness, that was what made him feel danger. Why aren't you forcing your way through? Wong Lin's voice was cold, his expression unreadable. The Immortal Emperor's brows furrowed slightly. The Nether Dao Venerable acted as if he hadn't heard, not turning back, and instead walked toward the Emperor. So this is the Nether Dao Venerable. How disappointing. He doesn't even have the courage to challenge the 17th layer. Wong Lin sneered as he watched him depart. This strange change only made Wong Lin suspect that the man's rise to become the first among Leap Heavenly Venerables was no accident. Precisely because of this, Wong Lin was even more determined to shatter his resolve here and now. Wong Lin, what do you mean by this? The Immortal Emperor's eyes gleamed with aura pressure as he fixed them on Wong Lin. The Nether Dao Venerable faltered mid-step. He closed his eyes briefly as if struggling, then, after a breath, regained his eerie calmness and continued toward the Emperor without a word. I only want him to try the 17th layer. If he fails, he can leave freely. Wong Lin said with a faint smile. His words, falling into the Nether Dao Venerable's ears, pierced like a blade. This was the very line the Nether Dao Venerable had once spoken to Wong Lin himself. His breath quickened, his steps faltered again. Flames of anger roared within him, pride screaming against the humiliation. But just then, the Immortal Emperor swept his wide sleeve. A gentle wind surged forth, wrapping around the Nether Dao Venerable and hurling him toward the ancient teleportation array. Return to the palace. The Nether Dao Venerable resisted the urge to turn back. Blood veins filled his eyes. Under the Emperor's force, he was hurled into the ancient array. The formation lit up, beginning to activate. A cold glint flashed in Wong Lin's eyes. He could not allow the man to leave. Just as the formation started to run, Wong Lin suddenly raised his right hand and pointed sharply at the teleportation array. At that point, 99 phantom shadows instantly condensed into a massive finger projection. With a deafening roar, it shot straight toward the array. The Immortal Emperor's face darkened in fury, ready to act. But at that moment, the great heavenly venerable Wufeng let out a hearty laugh. He stepped forward casually, yet that single step froze the Immortal Emperor in place. Both were grand heavenly venerables. In that instant, their auras locked. If the Emperor moved, Wufeng would surely act. This hesitation allowed the phantom finger to descend upon the array. Inside the teleportation array, the Nether Dao Venerable suddenly raised his head with a low growl. Already half-transported, he could not strike back. Gritting his teeth, he stepped out of the array just as the giant finger dissipated into nothingness before him, mocking him with the exact same technique he had once used against Wong Lin. Wong Lin! The Nether Dao Venerable roared, his eyes fixed on him with hatred. Rage and humiliation surged, no longer containable. Wong Lin, how dare you? You violated the rules by attacking here. Today, this Emperor may have to seize you. The Immortal Emperor clearly had not expected Wong Lin to strike. Oh, did I harm him? Was he injured? Since no harm was done, how can it be a violation? Wong Lin retorted with a faint smile, throwing back the Emperor's own words at him. The Immortal Emperor faltered, about to reply. But Wong Lin spoke faster, his voice ringing through the heavens as he looked straight at the fuming Nether Dao Venerable. It turns out you have already lost your arrogance and given up your self-respect. I wondered why you were in such a hurry to leave and didn't try to challenge the 17th layer. It seems you've not only abandoned your self-respect, but also your faith. Now, you're nothing but a walking corpse, bound to follow the Immortal Emperor's arrangements. If he tells you to leave, you won't dare disobey, so you must leave immediately. Forget it, a cultivator like you is not worthy of my gaze. Go away. Wong Lin flung his sleeve, his eyes filled with disdain, and his gaze pierced the Nether Dao Venerable's mind like a blade. Such a killjoy. The last sentence broke the restraint of the Nether Dao Venerable, who trembled and looked up, letting out a roar. His body flashed, and he rushed towards the celestial canopy. Wong Lin, let us both challenge the 17th layer together. Good. Wong Lin laughed heartily, and at nearly the same time, he and the Nether Dao Venerable stepped into the 17th hall. The Immortal Emperor was about to stop them, but was held back by Wu Feng. Lian Daozhan. We should not interfere with the contest of the Leap Heavenly Venerables. His words were venomous, not only highlighting that the Nether Dao Venerable would surely fail to pass this level, but also cutting off any possible retreat for him. If the Nether Dao Venerable were to fail and leave alone, this statement would damage his Dao heart, causing him to suffer mental demons in future cultivation. However, if he truly stayed and waited, though he wouldn't face mental demons, if Wong Lin succeeded, it would strike him a devastating blow, like a broken bow. Once these words were spoken, both figures vanished into the 17th hall. The Heavenly Venerable did not hear it, and the Leap Heavenly Venerable was too far to hear it clearly, but the 3 Grand Heavenly Venerables present heard it clearly. Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable's eyes narrowed, as though he was seeing Wong Lin for the first time, staring at the 17th hall amidst the mist, his expression turning grave. This Wong Lin has deep schemes. Wu Feng Grand Heavenly Venerable's gaze also flickered. Watching the celestial canopy, a faint smile began to appear on his lips. It seems his intention to destroy the Nether Dao Venerable is resolute. As for the Immortal Emperor, his expression darkened. With a wave of his sleeve, as if unwilling to witness this scene, he turned, and the shadow cast upon the Heavenly Venerable cultivators slowly dissipated as he left the Heavenly Venerable Nirvana grounds. A cold laugh suddenly rang out from the Imperial Hall of the Central Imperial City. Meanwhile, on the Dishan Empire's peak in the Central Plains, Judy Grand Heavenly Venerable had already stood up, staring at the autumn leaf with a grave expression. His sharp eyes glinted with a strange light. He's quite a character. Not only does he have profound insights into the Tao, but his combat prowess is extraordinary. What's even rarer is his deep scheming. Good. This child is definitely not just some inconsequential figure, but a more exceptional talent than the Nether Dao Venerable. After Wong Lin and the Nether Dao Venerable entered the 17th layer, only the 3rd breath had passed when suddenly, a figure covered in blood mist shot out from the 17th layer, crashing violently outwards. The figure continued flying until it was hundreds of meters away before it came to a halt. It was the black-clad Nether Dao Venerable, his face as pale as death. After a pause, he coughed up another mouthful of blood. His body wavered as though he could barely stay on his feet. His eyes were unfocused, and he stood motionless, like a lifeless shell, staring silently at the 17th hall hundreds of meters away. He had failed. As soon as he entered, he was immediately injured and thrown out, laughing bitterly. He did not look down, but could feel the gaze of countless cultivators below, like knives, cutting him with their judgment, causing bleeding wounds both inside and outside his body. Time passed. The 4th breath, the 5th breath, the 6th breath. Nearly half a stick of incense passed. The Nether Dao Venerable's lifeless eyes, enduring this agonizing wait, refused to leave. He fixed his gaze on the 17th hall, hoping to see Wong Lin's figure being thrown out in the same manner. The longer the time stretched on, the stronger his hope grew, until it almost reached its peak, becoming his only belief at that moment. I failed, so he must fail too. If he doesn't make it, then I haven't lost. The torment of this waiting expectation was enough to crush any cultivator. The Nether Dao Venerable now had disheveled hair, bloodshot eyes, staring fixedly at the hall. Time passed again, half an incense stick, a full incense stick. Soon, half an hour passed. Wong Lin had never stayed this long on any level, but in the 17th layer, this was the case. The passing half hour slowly gave the Nether Dao Venerable a rising sense of hope, as though he had regained some semblance of faith. The longer the time, the more difficult it is for him. The less likely he is to succeed. Wong Lin, he definitely won't succeed. He will never succeed. He cannot succeed. The Nether Dao Venerable's mind and all his energy were focused on his eyes, staring at the dim 17th hall. His fragile hope now seemed like the last barrier of his pride. If that barrier were broken, his mind would collapse, and he would fall into utter despair, completely crushed. He won't succeed. He won't succeed. Time passed, and even the many silent cultivators below were gradually filled with astonishment, each beginning to speculate. Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable frowned as he gazed at the 17th layer, a hint of hesitation in his heart. In this short span of a day, his emotions had shifted several times. This kind of uncertainty shouldn't have appeared in him, yet it was there now. Heavenly Venerable Nirvana only has 19 layers. He's already past the 16th layer. Even if he doesn't get through the 17th, it's enough to show his worth. But if he does break through the 17th, then, perhaps even Judy, Great Heavenly Venerable, will come, joining the competition. A figure like this is rarely seen in tens of thousands of years, especially with the Nether Dao Venerable, who has been repeatedly struck down by him. If he rises, it's fine, but if he doesn't, his Dao heart will be shattered. Beside him, Wufeng, Great Heavenly Venerable's expression was equally complex as he gazed at the 17th hall. However, compared to Dao Yi, he still had some confidence. I've helped him before. That help was significant. Even during the time when he was publicly condemned, I was still assisting him. Under such circumstances, he's bound to choose me. Dao Yi, on the other hand, was hesitant because of his personality, but such a personality can only attract weaklings. True power comes with pride. Without a favor, how could one lower oneself to follow? However, if Wong Lin really breaks through the 17th layer, even I might find it hard to recruit him. If nothing unexpected happens, he has an 80% chance of becoming a Grand Heavenly Venerable in the future. Within the central Imperial City's palace, there was complete silence, only the overwhelming aura pressure lingering, as if endless fury filled the air. The Immortal Emperor sat on the dragon throne, staring at the illusory screen ahead, watching the pale-faced Nether Dao Venerable. A strange look appeared in the Immortal Emperor's eyes. Indeed, I should have listened to the National Master's advice back then and killed Wong Lin. But I considered my status as a Grand Heavenly Venerable. Whether I made the move myself or sent someone, it would have been overkill. I thought I was giving him the opportunity to grow, thinking everything was under my control. No matter how much he grows, once he comes to the Imperial City, I can always find an excuse to erase his memories and send him to the National Master. But now, I never expected him to reach this level, even attracting the attention of several other Grand Heavenly Venerables. He's even on the verge of destroying the Nether Dao, which I've put so much effort into recruiting. The Immortal Emperor murmured, a smile spreading across his lips that seemed incongruent with his words. If he breaks through the 17th layer, Judy, that old fool, will definitely notice him. Once Judy recruits him, the Immortal Emperor closed his eyes. He may not make it through the 17th, but I do hope he does, and then deals a devastating blow to the Nether Dao. The Immortal Emperor opened his eyes, his smile growing more eerie. Nether Dao, don't disappoint me. For you, I've done so much, even allowing Wong Lin to grow. On Dishan Empire's peak in the Central Plains, Judy, Great Heavenly Venerable, was lost in thought as he stared at the autumn leaves. At the same time, he noticed something the other Grand Heavenly Venerables had overlooked. If he breaks through the 17th layer, not only will it cement his reputation, but more importantly, it will reflect his battle strength. This power will make him the strongest below the Grand Heavenly Venerables of the entire Immortal clan. Even if a Grand Heavenly Venerable personally intervenes, he could probably escape. How much would it cost to recruit such a person? I hope he doesn't break through the 17th layer, Judy muttered, his gaze towards the autumn leaves becoming complex for the first time. At the Heavenly Venerable Nirvana grounds, everyone was watching the 17th layer, with mixed feelings of anticipation or reluctance for Wong Lin to break through. A stick of incense passed in silence. No news for such a long time had caused the Nether Dao Venerable to shift from a pale face to one filled with intense hope and confidence. But just as his hope peaked, and his previously defeated state seemed to recover, he suddenly trembled violently, as if struck by lightning. For in that moment, a dazzling golden light erupted from the 17th layer hall. The golden light spread rapidly, blinding everyone's eyes. From within that golden glow, a white-robed figure stepped out. His white hair shone like golden strands under the light. Step by step, Wong Lin walked forward, completely ignoring the Nether Dao Venerable, passing right by him, whose hope had shattered, without a glance. He didn't approach the 18th layer but descended to stand before Dao Yi and Wufeng, Great Heavenly Venerables, cupping his fists and nodding at Wufeng. Then, With a flash, he turned into a streak of light, heading towards the distant ancient teleportation array. With a flicker of light, Wong Lin vanished. As he turned to leave, he glanced back at the crowd. His gaze fell upon the one called Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable, and a faint smile touched his lips as he gave a slight nod. He broke through the 17th layer. Nether Dao Venerable muttered, blood spraying from his mouth. This blood, like the mist he had spat earlier, was formed from the very essence of his spirit, for here within the Heavenly Venerable Ascension, only the essence spirit could enter, never the physical body. As that blood-like essence dissipated, Nether Dao Venerable seemed once more stripped of all vitality. His head lowered. His pride had utterly collapsed. Even his Dao concept had been mercilessly shattered by Wong Lin. With a bitter, broken laugh, Nether Dao Venerable silently withdrew. But now, no one paid him the slightest attention. For the moment Wong Lin departed, the Heavenly Venerable Nirvana grounds erupted with cries of shock and awe. The foremost under the grand Heavenly Venerables, Wong Lin. Today, the world of the transcendent Heavenly Venerables has shifted. Wong Lin has risen with earth-shaking brilliance. From this day forth, on the immortal clan lands, a new supreme cultivator walks among us. The first among transcendent Heavenly Venerables, the strongest beneath the grand Heavenly Venerables. He could even be called the future sixth son of the immortal clan, the one most likely to ascend as a grand Heavenly Venerable.